Celtics lose. I got it right this time. 100-99 in overtime. It's just me and Jimmy tonight, but it just feels so right. Garter Report, Celticsblog, and CLNS Radio. Fall in overtime, 100-99. This is the Garter Report on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. My name happens to be Jared Weiss. This happens to be Jimmy Toscano.
Yeah.
He reps Celticsblog, I rep CLNS Radio.
And real quick, I was gonna say before you cut me off, not knowing that, I was gonna say we're by ourselves because we choose to be by ourselves tonight. It's not because we couldn't have guests.
Well, partly because you couldn't.
Well, it's like 60-40.
It was kind of a late game. There's kind of everybody sprinting out the door for the trains. It was a 7 o'clock start. We thought we were going to be out of here at the Harp getting hammered by about 10 o'clock, but that fell apart because we went into overtime. Celtics, they looked like they're about to win the game.
Multiple times.
And then a crazy jump ball happens, a crazy sequence. Belinelli ends up with the ball flying down the floor. He goes up for it and loses it. And the ball just dribbles out to Kirk Heinrich, who hits the shot to send it to OT.
Just how they drew it up.
Exactly how they drew it up. It was a crazy game. Then Belinelli ends up getting the ball. He kind of cuts down, gets the ball. We'll talk about it later. He hits a falling down fadeaway 10-footer.
Off balance, fadeaway. Good shot.
Is falling down ever on balance?
Yes.
Okay.
If you're extremely coordinated, you can fall down on balance.
Okay, well, Bellinelli's not that coordinated. So it ended up being an unbelievable game winner, one of the best game winners of the year. We're going to talk about that play. We're going to talk about Rajon Rondo, who hasn't been really in all-star form lately. He becomes the all-star starter by virtue of fans using their Twitter accounts. And now he's actually playing like an all-star starter. He looked pretty damn good. Speaking of Twitter accounts, we're opening up the Twitter bag for the first time this year.
Right.
We're going to answer a couple of your questions. We got a ton of questions piling in. We're going to get through them throughout the course of the next couple of weeks, but keep them going so that eventually we can never answer your question.
You like mail.
But we feel special.
No bills, though.
No bills. Okay, let's start with that final sequence of regulation. The ball gets inbounded from Rondo to... Actually, who the hell got the ball on that play? I can't even remember.
Was it Pierce?
It was Pierce.
Yeah,
it was Pierce, right? All right, professionalism. Professionalism. So he gets tied up. He gets tied up by a couple guys. They call it jump ball because a hand made contact with the ball for about 0.27 seconds.
Oh, that position. Yeah. Pierce and I thought you're talking about overtime.
Oh, okay, no. We're talking about the last regulation. Jimmy's on the ball right now. But, so, speaking of on the ball...
Pierce ended up in the corner. Noah and who was the other player?
There was Jimmy Butler and
Jimmy Butler and Noah.
Yeah.
They double teamed, collapsed on him.
Yeah.
That was the play that Thibodeau drew up. And the Bulls players said it after the game. They said, you said this was going to happen. They were in about it. If they do, towards the corner, double team, don't foul right away, try to go for the jump ball. And if you can't, if you can't foul, then obviously, was it a foul? Was it a jump ball? Who actually caused the jump ball? We'll never know. Yeah,
but it looked on the replay like Jimmy Butler was the one that actually caused the jump ball.
Right, yeah.
It was a pretty short
but obviously, the Bulls are, they're smart. They're going to send their biggest guy out there and tell them not to go out there. Don't wait for them to choose who goes out there.
So Noah goes out. He wins the tip over Pierce because it's a bit of a mismatch on the tip there. It goes to Belinelli, who flies down the court, and he's able to fumble the ball and let it dribble out to Heinrich. Great pass. He's just Heinrich sitting there wide open at 18 feet. He nails a shot. It was an amazing shot. Unbelievable play there.
Grit and balls. Take some balls and hit shots at the end of the buzzer like that. So they did it once. They did it again in overtime.
Yeah, and so let's hear what Doc had to say about that jump ball play and what he thought actually happened, what he thought should have happened, which is important to note.
And I thought Rondo actually called the timeout before the foul was called as well. If you watch the replay, Rondo was right in front of Mark Davis and did timeout signal, and then the foul was called. So, but we got to expect that, and not from the refs. I'm talking about ourselves. We talked about it. You knew they were going to trap, and we got to just do whatever you can not to get tied up. Now the problem is I didn't see it. I never saw the actual tie-up. I thought it was more swinging. So you guys probably saw it on replay. I haven't, so I can't answer the question.
So now now we've heard from Doc. What do you think of the final play there? Do you think that they should have had the guy out on Heinrich, or is that just kind of a fluke, lucky play there?
I mean, that's fluky because you're in transition at that point. Everyone's just sort of trying to get back, find a man, and I mean, the ball wasn't supposed to go to Heinrich. I mean, I think the Celtics did a good job, knocking the ball away from Belinelli, and it's just unfortunate that there's Heinrich just standing there sort of out of the play. Lucky me, there's the game winner. I mean, there's the shot that brings it in overtime.
Great play by Soli, by the way.
You can't really fault the Celtics. You can't fault the Celtics for the way that that happened. I mean, I think before that, if you want to go all the way back to when you're up 3, do you foul and they fouled, and then Heinrich missed one, but he gets the other.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if they don't foul, I mean, who knows? There's a million different ways the game could have ended if they don't foul, or if they do. It's just hindsight's 20/20. We can sit here all day and talk about what could have happened if they did this, but I think the overtime, the Celtics obviously had a chance to win the game. Terry hit that shot, and I thought for sure that just some nice defense was gonna win the game, and they played good defense. Terry again played good defense on Belinelli.
Oh, man.
They were forced. Yeah. They were determined to get the ball to Belinelli on that last possession. I'm sure Thibodeau probably said, whoever Terry's guarding, get it to him. And that was a tough shot that he hit. I mean, that was a tough shot. Like we said, he was off balance and not balanced, but off balance and fade away, and nothing really Terry could do at that point. I think he played good defense right up until that point.
In spinning, by the way, because he was cutting down towards the baseline to get the ball from Boozer, and then he turns around, spins, and fades away. So that's what's really impressive about it.
Tough loss. Those are the ones that hurt. I mean, I've talked to just about every player about whether or not they'd rather get blown out or lose in that way, and just about all of them say, they'd rather get blown out than lose. And,
just so they have time to process.
Right. I mean, when you are that close to winning and you even have the lead in the last time, it's like to have it taken away so quickly. That's really, that's a downer moment.
And another downer moment for the Bulls. Luol Deng goes out in the third quarter. The fact that they win this game with Deng going out, relying on Belinelli to make some offensive plays. It's amazing that Belinelli was the guy getting the ball at the end of the game, even in the overtime.
Right. He doesn't seem like the closer on the team. But listen, not only do they not have Deng for the end of the game, but some guy named Derek, what's his last name? Rose?
Rose?
Yeah.
Ricky Rose?
Is it a Hardy?
Is that who it is? No.
Either way, when you're playing the Bulls and they don't have those two players in the fourth quarter, you really should win that game.
Yeah.
I mean, you really should win the game. I don't care if you have Avery Bradley or not. I mean, if both teams are healthy, it's going to be a good game. So I think that if both teams are healthy, I think I give the edge to the Bulls because I think Rose is just that good of a player.
No.
Well, I think he's that good of a player, obviously. But either way, it's a close game. And tonight was a close game without those guys. So.
Okay, we'll talk about a good player, a good point guard that actually played tonight. Rajon Rondo back into All-Star form. I think he forgot he was an All-Star, and then he got the All-Star nod, and then he remembered. Hey,
he was
I'm
daring
All-Star.
fans, trying to make it interesting
in the
voting.
How good is this team with Rondo playing well when they can get the other guys playing well? How good did Rondo look tonight, and how good does he need to be when these guys aren't playing well?
I mean, they looked good tonight on offense. It was the defense that was a little sketchy at times, but the offense was a little sketchy too, but not because of Rondo.
Yeah.
I think the offense can exist, can function, and can be good with Rondo scoring. I think, just because he scores 30 points and has 5 assists doesn't mean that the rest of the team has to go cold. Unfortunately, tonight I thought that a lot of the guys on the Celtics did go cold. I mean, they shot 42% tonight, but Rondo was 12 for 21, and I think that when you shoot 12 for 21, there's no complaints, and I can't complain about that style of play. I think that last game you're kind of getting on the guards for not being aggressive and not driving to the paint and getting shots the hard way, settling for jumpers. And I think Rondo tonight, on numerous occasions, all game, he was driving to the hoop. He was making flashy moves. He was quick, cutting, and everything. I mean, that's the type of Rondo that the Celtics need. I mean, obviously you want to see him getting his guys into the game, but how many times can you force it to Jason Terry or Courtney Lee or Jeff Green and just watch them miss? I mean, at some point you got to take matters into your own hand. I think Rondo did that, and he did that well tonight. And the Celtics, and he put the Celtics in a position to win. Obviously, with fouled out in the overtime was huge because what happened at that point is Doc had to pretty much play the role of point guard. He had to call a timeout essentially every time the Celtics were on offense because he had to drop the play because Rondo wasn't out there to drop the play. And I think that and at this point you don't need, like, they can run the same plays with Rondo or without Rondo, but it's obviously good to have your quarterback, your point guard out there to do that, and obviously the skill involved. And when you substitute Courtney Lee for him, then you lose your quarterback. So Doc had to call his timeouts, and really hurt them at the end because obviously when Belinelli hit that shot, they had no timeouts left in. That was a rushed, Courtney Lee three-pointer heave. So.
And part of the problem was Rondo, who had been so aggressive. And important to note two numbers here. He had 21 shots, which is a ton for him, and 9 free throws, which means he took really about 24, 25 shots. So an unbelievably high usage rate for Rondo tonight because he had 7 assists also and 6 fouls. So he's really using.
And I thought they were good shots.
Yeah, that's the thing is most of them were good shots. Even the ones in overtime that he was clanking, they were still pretty decent shots. The shots he was taking for most of the game.
And real quick, I mean, when you're hot, you're hot. I mean, keep shooting in overtime. I don't mind. And if he was 2 for 19 going into the overtime, I wouldn't want him to be shooting that way. But when you're 12 for 19 at that point, before he went up for 2, I mean, let the shots happen.
All right, well, hockey fans, you can hear it getting started in the background. Now let's hear what Pierce had to say about Rondo tonight.
Ron did a good job pushing the ball most of the game, especially in the fourth quarter. We was able to get some layups, easy opportunities.
All right, so time for boxing out. I'm going to start this one off.
It's messed up, too.
I'm starting this one off. I'm going number 5. But we're doing it a couple times. Since it's only 2 of us so far and Jimmy can't even hear me, we're going to do a couple each. For me, Rondo hits 5 mid-range shots. The mid-range shot carried him tonight. That's what he was doing well. He allowed that to catalyze his offensive game because they weren't respecting his shooting. They weren't stepping up. They weren't necessarily sagging, but they weren't stepping up. He was hitting it, but he also was hitting them with guys in his eyes. Rhyme game. All right,
guys in his eyes. I like that. And I agree with you. I thought the mid-game shot was definitely a big point of the night. But I do like his aggressiveness to the hoop more than I like.
Is that what it's called?
Okay. To the hoop. I was going to say hoop, rim,
yeah.
paint.
No, I felt it. Yeah.
But, yeah, it's
Greg
nice
Paint.
to see him hit the jumpers. We know he can drive and do the flashy stuff, but it's nice to see the jumpers fall. Are you going?
No, you're going next. We're switching off.
We're going to go.
Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
2-minute game. Okay, which one do I want to do? Okay, I'll do turnovers tonight.
Okay. Why turnovers?
Celtics caused 21 turnovers.
So
whether or not they caused them, whatever. The Bulls had 21 turnovers.
The Celtics have witnessed 21 turnovers.
Right, 21 turnovers, just 7 points off those turnovers for the Celtics. Okay. It's not taking advantage of all those turnovers. They scored just 3 points off turnovers from the second quarter to the end of the game. I mean, that's just... how is that even possible? And I know Doc, after the game, was befuddled with that stat because he thinks that you should at least get 1 point off every turnover.
Exactly.
So the fact that they only got 7 out of 21 turnovers is kind of the difference in this game.
He seemed kind of hurt when it was brought up. He looked. I thought he was going to cry a little bit. He seemed kind of sad when that number was brought up. For me, the other number, I said it before, number 5. 5 offensive rebounds for Jared Sullinger in the fourth quarter. He was, I thought, one of the key reasons why they were able to kind of expand and come back in the fourth quarter was that he was forcing stops. They weren't really getting stops. I mean, the Bulls shot 48%. They were allowing a little bit of offensive rebounding. Boozer with 6 offensive rebounds, and you will hear about those rebounds in a second. But I thought that Sullinger being able to kind of make sure that they were able to get in transition in the fourth quarter was really big. And just make sure that they weren't allowing second chance points. Because if you're going to make a comeback, you just can't have second chance points being allowed. It's just going to stop the momentum that you have immediately.
I agree, and I think that the Bulls, with Boozer, the way he's been playing over the past 10 or so games, I mean, he's a double-double machine right now. And obviously Noah is a beast on the glass and down low. So, I mean, if you're Sully and you can rip down 15 boards, 5 of them offensive, I mean, that says a lot about where you are, at this stage as a rookie, which I think is pretty high. He's playing really well right now.
Okay,
it's a good testament.
Last stat of the night?
My last stat is 7 of 32. That's the Celtics' 3-pointers attempted and made in the last 2 games. So that's 22%. They were 3 of 14 tonight. I just think that if some of those 3 balls are falling, I mean, that's just not not only is that obviously extra points, but it's momentum and the fans get involved. When you train a 3, it gets the building going, it gets the team going, and when you clank one, it's sort of the opposite effect, and that's those long and those long shots end up sometimes long rebounds, and then the other team goes on the fast break, and you might have a guy like Selly or KG under the hoop out of position on the fast break. So I think it's just really important that the Celtics get those 3-pointers. They got to get those fixed.
Yeah. And we got to get the ballers fixed. Because right now, not a lot of Celtics ballers, at least in this game. For me, balling up tonight beyond belief is Carlos Boozer. the guy is definitely in the All-Star consideration. And he's climbing his way up there because he's been playing so well of late. Next week's show, Knicks Thursday night game, we're going to start doing some All-Star talk because we got to point.
Is he going to be?
Oh, I think there's a chance.
He's making a late run.
He's
I just feel like
making
it's
a very
too late
late
for him.
run.
I feel like he made a run too late in the half.
Okay, but let me tell you how strong his run was. It was 19 points tonight in 43 minutes, 8 for 17 shooting, 20 rebounds. Carlos Boozer, 20 rebounds.
Almost a 20-20 night for him.
Yeah.
That free throw in the fourth.
Yeah. With Joakim having 13 as well. By the way, 6, I said it before, but 6 of those rebounds for him are offensive. And the other one is 4 assists for him. That's a lot of assists for Carlos Boozer, not a guy really known for shuffling the ball. Noah had 4 assists. You expect that from him, but not really from Carlos. But so just a great, well-rounded game for Boozer tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to keep mine short because we've talked about him a lot already. I'm going to be kind of like the homer here. I'm going to pick Rondo as the player of the game. I thought that he, obviously was the player of the game for the Celtics. Mm-hmm. I do think that Boozer was a huge difference maker for the Bulls tonight, and they did win the game, so that obviously went through something. I just think Rondo elevated his game today on the offensive end, and I didn't think that he was much of a liability on defense either. I mean, not that he's ever a liability, but sometimes we see him sort of, take
games off defensively.
Plays. I was going to say
quarters
plays.
off.
I was going to say plays, but in general, I thought that defensively, whatever, offensively, great, and I love the fact that he's attacking the hoop, and like you mentioned earlier, he's hitting those outside shots, those jump shots. So it's good to see, and if the Celtics won tonight, he's going to be your player of the game too. So I mean, it's one of those things where he had a really great night.
All right, let's open up the Twitter bag. See if we got any tweets in here.
Out some tweets.
There we go. Pulling out some tweets. Let's get them out.
Oh, God.
So first in the Twitter bag, from Express Realism, who do the Celtics trade if they go for a big man? And who's the big man that they target?
Who do they trade if they go for a big man?
Yeah.
Well, I think Danny's looking for a big man. I do not think that we're going to see a legit, amazing big man come in here. He said it a couple of days ago on CSN. I mean, he's not going to blow up the team. He doesn't think it makes sense to make a big trade and sort of blow up the team in a way and cause a whole commotion for the because that might ruin the chemistry for the rest of the season. We saw it when they traded Perkins away. That sort of messed with everybody. So I don't think he's going to do that. I think the team he constructed is built to win this year. Whether or not they are at the rate everyone else wants them to, it doesn't matter. Ainge doesn't care what you think. He's going to see how this team can sort of mold itself. I mean, if they did go for Gortat, I know that it would probably take Bradley, and I am against trading Bradley for anything short of a superstar. Because I think that Bradley has the ability to, I'm not saying he's going to be the next MVP, but I think he has the ability to be an all-star for multiple years. So I'm not willing to just trade him for a year or two of size when I think that there might be some short-term options that they can.
I mean, with Gortat,
short money, they got a couple roster spots open.
Okay, so with Gortat, they don't give up Bradley. I think it's something to consider. If you can package something like Lee and Bass, if they're willing to take that on, I think that's something that you probably have to
I
go
would
for.
definitely.
But what if it's Solinger involved?
No.
Is that an absolute non-starter for you?
That's at some point you gotta. I mean, you have to balance the future and the present. You can't just trade Bradley and Solinger and Melo and everyone that isn't like a star now.
We trade every single player on the team except for Rondo.
We trade everyone 22 and under because they're not superstars. No, it doesn't work that way. You gotta. I mean, as a general manager, Ainge has to be able to balance the future and the present. I think he's doing a good job of that because he's brought in some pieces that are younger and he's drafted some guys that look to help the team for years to come. He's also got players now that are the superstars like the Rondo and Kevin Garnett, if you want to call him a superstar or not. He's starting in the All-Star game.
Yeah.
He doesn't think he deserves it, but I think that he's putting. He's still a player that. He's a star, and so is Pierce and Terry to an extent. So you can't just trade all your young guys for a guy that you think might help this year.
Okay,
but
I agree.
Saying that, I think Bass and Lee are expendable.
All right, closing the machine now. Last Twitter question from @Adam Hart. Why does it feel like Bass isn't playing as well as he did last year?
Short answer, because he's not. And the other reason I think is, well, listen, his minutes are down from last year.
Okay.
His points are down. His rebounds. I mean, everything's kind of down. I mean, and his defense hasn't been exactly where it needs to be either. Not that it ever was, but I think he has shown improvements from when he got here. But I just don't think it's where it needs to be consistently. I do also think that the emergence of Jared Sullinger is the biggest reason why we're looking at Bass more negatively, because we're looking at Sullinger so positively.
Yeah.
And we're saying, oh my God, look at Sullinger. He's doing this, he's doing that. He's grabbing all these boards. Why doesn't Bass grab these boards? And Bass isn't a guy that's going to do that. He's a guy that's going to hit jump shots. And if he's hitting his jump shots, then that's what he's good for. Last year, he was hitting those jump shots. This year, he's not hitting him at the rate that he was. So now we're saying, why is this guy out there? He's not doing the only thing that we need him to do, and that's hit jumper. So, and I think that the thing about that is it comes and it goes. Like we start with Lee, we'll see with Bass. Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts is that while the show's about to end, Bass is not getting the consistency that he got last year. That was what was so important for him, is being able to have that pretty much consistent role. This year, he's switching up with Sullinger so often, it's just very difficult for him to have that consistency going. All right, so shout out to Christina. It's good seeing you at the game tonight, girl. You have any shout outs?
Shout out to my girlfriend who's been waiting for me for like 2 hours. So
okay, let's
she
go.
might be mad at me.
Let's go visit your girlfriend. My girlfriend's waiting for me too. Okay, making girlfriends furious, rocking green ties. That's how we do it on the Garden Report.
And she's not gonna last this long into the show, so she'll never know.
Don't worry, mine won't either. All right, oh, there we go. I'm coughing just like the camera guy in the garden. Yeah, check the tape on the KG one. Camera guys need water too. Garden Report needs love, so show us your love. Hit us up on Twitter, comment on the video, hear things dropping in the background. Nice job, Lucas, there. But seriously, check us out on iTunes at the CLNS radio page. Follow us on Twitter at CLNS_Jared Weiss, at Jimmy Toscano. I'm plugging away here.
Facebook friend
I'm plugging away. Facebook friend me. Hit me up on Instagram and Foursquare. I don't even use either of those things. Go to Jimmy's house and write him a love letter. That'd be very sweet if you hold a boombox over your head. But seriously, this show is broadcasting on CLNS Radio the day after the game, which is when you're going to be watching this. For Jimmy Toscano, who hates life right now, and for me, Jared Weiss, and for Lucas Parolin, who's screaming behind the camera, Celtics fall 199 in overtime. This is the Garden Report on Celticsblog and CLNS Radio. We're out.